Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Swallowed Star 2 episode number 150 based on novel. So let's start. Don't worry, we will bid fairly. The old demon of time and space said with a smile, whoever offers the highest price, you will sell to them. We five here all have quite some accumulation. The owner of One Far Tower said cheerfully. The five of them were all powerful beings from the origin world, all capable of clone techniques, and in Ulon city they were considered at the elder level. They had cultivated for an extremely long time, and their accumulated wealth was naturally astonishing. For example, as elders, they received a fixed amount of income every epoch. The owner of One Far Tower and the others could break through the boundaries and travel to various origin worlds on their own, so the treasures and wealth they possessed were unimaginable. Luo Feng, we are from the same origin world. If the prices are similar, you should favor us. Thunder Ancestor said. Luo Feng, it's up to you to decide. Flame Wind Ancestor also looked at Luo Feng. 3 foreign races and 2 natives, all 5 of them were eager to obtain this innate secret treasure. You all know that this innate secret treasure is of extraordinary significance to me. Luo Feng smiled and shook his head. I'm not planning to sell it. What a pity. The 5 present were a bit disappointed. You also collected 2 special life form remains. Do you intend to sell one? The old demon of time and space pressed further. The core of Luo Feng's cultivation and comprehension was the blood-colored scales of the Star Tower and the Eye of Life and Death. The Eye of Life and Death, after all, was a secret treasure refined from the complete corpse of a world-class chaotic origin life form. In reality, for the God Emperors, having just one world-class chaotic origin life material as the core of their cultivation was already quite remarkable. If they could gather a few pieces and comprehend them through cultivation, they might have a chance to jump out of the cage. The 2 pieces Luo Feng collected in Origin Continent included a dark golden horn from the Dream Realm and a section of black bone. These 2 materials were carefully selected by Luo Feng using the Eye of Life and Death while observing the Dream Realm and the Sky Pillar Realm, and they held immense value. Not selling. Luo Feng grinned. In the early stages of cultivation, when your strength is weak and resources are lacking, selling one special life form remain can greatly facilitate your cultivation. Thunder Ancestor advised from the side. Luo Feng shook his head. There's no need to persuade me. The 5 present were all quite helpless. Obtaining special life form remains or top-tier innate secret treasures was just too difficult. At Luo Feng's current level, after witnessing the outside world in Ulon city, he was even less willing to sell them easily. Therefore, the 2 kingdoms' ancestors nurtured emperors, while the 3 foreign races also fostered other idol god kings, having these younger ones help them collect resources. No rush. The old demon of time and space smiled. Whenever you need to trade, you can always come to me. Trading in the outside world, you have to worry about competition. But in Origin Continent, it's absolutely safe. Thunder Ancestor added. Having cultivated for such a long time, they had enough patience. They knew very well that one day, Luo Feng might encounter difficulties and need to sell his treasures. Haha, all right. If I ever need to trade, I will definitely contact you all. Luo Feng responded politely and immediately raised his cup. That night, after the gathering dispersed, Luo Feng quietly took the Indestructible Heart and Palm World, 2 great secret treasures, and arrived at the Ice Valley. Through the lake's teleportation, he headed for the 9 Rivers Sacred World. In the 9 Rivers Sacred World, at the foot of the Holy Mountain, some cultivators were waiting for the official flying boat. This time, I'll fly alone to Ulon city. Luo Feng did not wait for the once-in-an-era official flying boat but instead flipped his hand and took out a drop of azure water which transformed into the shape of a flying boat. He immediately piloted the water drop flying boat and left the Holy Mountain. This water drop flying boat was a loss-making trade for Luo Feng when he obtained it from the old demon of time and space. Back then, the old demon of time and space chose the set of armor and abyss pearl left behind by Di Yuan after his death, estimating their value to be about 20,000 chaotic origin crystals. However, this water-drop flying boat was ultimately a late-stage God Emperor flying boat, worth about 100,000 chaotic origin crystals. He had indeed lost quite a bit. Standing in the flying boat's hall, Luo Feng gazed into the distance. Of course, Luo Feng also understood that for the old demon of time and space, the transportation cost would be the highest to carry a large number of treasures across the boundary and teleport to the origin continent. A single water-drop flying boat was probably one of the least noticeable items among the treasures he carried. I don't like taking advantage of others. I'll find a chance to repay the old demon of time and space. Luo Feng thought. Whoosh! The water-drop flying boat was a pure life-type flying treasure, best at concealing life auras. In terms of flight speed and stealth, however, it was far inferior to void-type flying secret treasures. This flying boat is too ordinary. Fortunately, with my current level, I can perfectly utilize its power, and by combining it with the Bionic Eye of Destruction for auxiliary control, the cycling of life and death makes my aura even more concealed. Luo Feng thought. Being able to push this boat to perform beyond its limits only meant that the boat was somewhat weak. This time, returning to Ulon City, I should get a better flying boat. Luo Feng mused. Whoosh! The flying boat completely concealed its aura and traveled cautiously. Luo Feng's Bionic Eye of Destruction had a much larger observational range than before. Even among Ulon City's elders, few could match him in perception. From extremely long distances, he could detect low-level chaotic origin life forms and avoid them in advance. Low-level chaotic origin life forms were encountered everywhere. Luo Feng took a full 12 days to reach Ulon City. Along the way, I encountered 39 low-level chaotic origin life forms. Luo Feng never dared to make a move, as it was outside the regular hunting zones. The Nine Rivers Sacred World, most of its regions belong to low-level chaotic origin life forms. Cultivators can only rely on the 35 cities and hunt in their surroundings. If things go wrong, they must retreat to the city at any time. Luo Feng was well aware of this. Cultivators had to strictly follow hunting boundaries. This was a lesson learned through countless deaths. Ulon City. Luo Feng piloted the water-drop flying boat through the city gates and finally relaxed. Luo Feng had long since explored the various shops in Ulon City. He knew exactly which store sold what, the prices, and the reputation of each merchant. Brother Luo Feng. At one shop, a red-clothed woman in charge saw Luo Feng and warmly greeted him. Brother Luo Feng, not long ago, you fought the Guile Workshop team, 2 against 5, not only winning but also killing that Kumo. Now, everyone in the city is talking about your fame. The red-clothed woman said enthusiastically. I don't enjoy killing, but since they insisted on seeking death, I had no choice. Luo Feng replied indifferently. Impressive. The red-clothed woman smiled. Come in, have a seat. For ordinary customers, regular attendance would suffice. But with Luo Feng's public record placing his strength among the top 2,000 in Ulon City, such an expert was naturally attended to by the shop owner personally. The Guile Workshop team engaged in looting, yet he managed to counterkill them? This person must be extraordinary. I wonder when I'll become a God Emperor. Some attendants in the store whispered among themselves. Inside an elegantly decorated pavilion, Luo Feng and the red-clothed woman sat down. I'm here to buy a formation diagram. Luo Feng said, pointing at one among the floating weapons and secret treasures outside the pavilion. This diagram depicted a magnificent, multicolored world with 3 special characters written on it. Though Luo Feng didn't recognize them, he could sense their intent, Xianqing Heaven. Oh! The red-clothed woman looked at the diagram in surprise. The Xianqing Heaven Annihilation diagram? That costs 8.5 million chaotic origin crystals. The Xianqing Heaven Annihilation diagram, half-chaotic origin level secret treasure formation diagram. Half-chaotic origin level secret treasures could vary in value depending on whether they contained 1 or 2 Dao principles. Containing a single Dao makes it easier to drive, relatively cheaper, and applicable to a broader group of cultivators. Containing 2 Daos makes it harder to control, more expensive, and suitable for a smaller group, Fixed price, 8 million chaotic origin crystals. I also plan to buy a flying boat. Luophone was already aware of their family discount. That void nether eye ship, I'll take that as well. Let's round it up to 10 million chaotic origin crystals for both treasures together. The red-clothed woman looked at Luophone and smiled. Usually, a 5% discount was the limit. This time, the bargaining price was even lower than that. All right, let's just round it up. The red-clothed woman smiled and said, in the future, Brother Luophone, you must continue to support our business. Sure. Luophone nodded in satisfaction. From the spoils of the last hunt and the killing of Kumo, he had only a little over 10 million chaotic origin crystals left. After this expenditure, he was once again poor. I now need to purchase half chaotic origin level secret treasures. In the future, the number of suitable secret treasures for me will become fewer and fewer. Luophone lightly shook his head. There was no choice. Without relying on any secret treasure, he was already considered quite strong among late-stage God Emperor Dao Cultivator. With the indestructible heart and the palm world in hand, only half chaotic origin level secret treasures could further enhance his strength. With the Xianqing Heaven Annihilation Diagram, my endless blood sea can also be used to set up formations. Luophone thought. The indestructible heart's enhancement of the indestructible blood seed body was indeed effective, but it only allowed the indestructible blood seed body to be exceptionally strong in direct combat. It could not form a large-scale domain. Relying purely on his own abilities to display a domain was still somewhat weak. With the aid of this formation diagram, the power of the blood sea domain could be increased several times. This void nether eye ship was a ship that contained the mysteries of life and death, making it quite compatible with his bionic eye of destruction. Luophone was satisfied as he paid 10 million chaotic origin crystals in exchange for these two great treasures. The meditating Di Qing received Luophone's message and immediately exited seclusion. Brother Luophone, you came out of seclusion so soon? Di Qing asked in surprise. Didn't you say you would be in seclusion for a long time? We've offended the Guile workshop. Without absolute confidence, it's not suitable to go out in the short term. Luophone smiled slightly. I have confidence now. Confidence? Di Qing was momentarily stunned. He confirmed that this seclusion had only lasted for 360 epochs. Di Qing pursued further, we offended the deputy leader of Guile Workshop, Elder Qianhe. You have confidence in dealing with Elder Qianhe? Luophone nodded. Di Qing felt his mind rumbling, momentarily dazed. He realized what Luophone's nod implied. You've already reached the late-stage God Emperor Dao Cultivator? Di Qing looked at Luophone in disbelief. The early-stage God Emperor's Dao of Life and Death Dao was already comparable to a late-stage God Emperor Dao Cultivator. Not to mention that Luophone's Dao of Life and Destruction were both middle-stage God Emperor. And on top of that, he had the indestructible heart and the palm world as two great treasures. Luophone naturally had the confidence to face Elder Qianhe. This seclusion can be considered a breakthrough. Luophone smiled. You. Di Qing was utterly shocked, not knowing what to say. He had watched Luophone's growth with his own eyes. For someone like him, who had been stuck at the middle stage God Emperor Dao Cultivator for countless ages and had only recently broken through, how could he not feel deeply impacted? I've long heard that among the countless worlds, a very small fraction of the most elite individuals possess terrifyingly high talent. Di Qing looked at Luophone. I guess I've now witnessed it firsthand. Luophone smiled. He really didn't find it difficult. Back in the original universe, before even reaching the immortal stage, every step he took was solid. Each step reached an unbelievable limit for that stage, even surpassing it. That was why he had cultivated a perfect divine body, and his spiritual will had become so strong. On Origin Continent, every level of his foundation was similarly built to the extreme. His foundation was so deep that it had led him to obtain treasures like the Star Tower and the Eye of Life and Death, and in turn, these treasures had made his cultivation even smoother. Achieving half-chaotic origin level is not difficult. Luo Feng had conversed with Yuan about this before. In the eyes of experts like Senior Yuan, groping in the darkness to reach half-chaotic origin level was still relatively easy. In a place like the Darkness Sacred World, such powerful beings were everywhere. But jumping out of the cage, that was where the true challenge lay. Regardless, being able to team up with brother Luo Feng for hunting is my honor. Di Qing sighed. I'm preparing to go hunting. Are you coming? Luo Feng asked. Of course, I'm going. Di Qing immediately responded. Although they had agreed to go out hunting, both Luo Feng and Di Qing needed some preparation. Luo Feng needed to familiarize himself with the newly purchased Xianqing Heaven Annihilation diagram, while Di Qing had to consider which secret treasures he would need to face powerful enemies. Half an epoch later, the two of them finally set out. Luo Feng and Di Qing have gone out hunting. Di Ming and Di Fu also came to see them off. Last time, they offended the deputy leader of Guile Workshop, Elder Qianhe. Now that they are heading out to hunt, if Guile Workshop seeks revenge. Di Ming said worriedly. Having stayed in Ulon City for so long, he was well aware of Guile Workshop's style. Di Fu smiled and looked toward the entrance of the cave dwelling. Since they dare to go out, they must have a plan to deal with it. If I'm not mistaken, our days in Ulon City are about to get better. For over 300 epochs, Di Ming did not dare to leave, and Di Fu had no work, choosing to remain in seclusion inside the cave dwelling for cultivation. You trust them that much? Di Ming was surprised. I trust Luo Feng. Back then, Di Fu had spent a lot of effort studying Luo Feng's every move. Only after confirming Luo Feng's personality did he repeatedly assist him, even if it meant offending Di Yang. He didn't care. Di Ming looked at Di Fu with confusion. Haven't you noticed? Di Fu smiled. Since brother Luo Feng started cultivating, every time he has taken action, he has always been fully prepared. Di Ming thought for a moment. That was indeed the case. From an eternal true god to someone on par with Di Qing, it only took him a little over 1,000 epochs, Di Fu said softly. You should know that brother Luo Feng has already spent 1,000 epochs in Ulon City. With the superior cultivation resources here, logically, his progress should only be faster, Di Fu continued. Even the founders have said that brother Luo Feng is either a reincarnated being of another race or someone with a terrifyingly formidable talent. Looking at it now, it's most likely the latter. Di Fu smiled. We just need to wait here for good news. Luo Feng and Di Qing rode a black flying boat together, heading straight for the outermost city gate of Ulon City. Buzz. The entire Ulon City was enveloped by a variety of colorful defensive systems. Invisible waves swept across the city repeatedly, allowing the detection of every resident's location. If a resident was found to have overdue residence fees, they could be locked onto immediately. Additionally, if someone had no residence for 3 days, they would be expelled from the city. At the same time, these defense systems also prevented low-level Han Yuan lifeforms from infiltrating. Luo Feng and Di Qing are riding the same flying boat, heading toward the East City Gate. This information was naturally synchronized to Elder Qianhe, the deputy leader of Guile Workshop. In Ulon City, as long as one was willing to pay the price, intelligence organizations could provide real-time updates on the latest information. They're going out together? Elder Qianhe sat there, slowly opening his long and narrow eyes, his gaze as calm as still water. Hunting after just 300 epochs. So impatient, Elder Qianhe chuckled lightly, then immediately summoned a subordinate. Whoosh! A figure shrouded in grey mist appeared outside the room. The figure had emerald green eyes and respectfully saluted, Deputy Leader. Wu Ya, Elder Qianhe said with a smile. Luo Feng and Di Qing are heading toward the East City Gate in a flying boat. Go there, just lock onto their location. Once they are far away from Ulon City, inform me. It was not suitable to make a move near Ulon City. If the targets escaped back into the city, it would be difficult to pursue them. But at a farther distance, escaping back to the city would be nearly impossible. That was when they could be slowly dealt with, killed one by one. Yes, Wu Wei replied respectfully and vanished without a sound. Elder Qianhe pondered, even if they emerged from the origin world, they are only mid-stage God-Emperor Dao cultivators. They are likely quite poor. Even if they bring the most suitable treasures for hunting, they are probably worth only tens of millions of chaotic origin crystals. Killing enemies and plundering treasure was just side task. Elder Qianhe's primary goal was deterrence. Dare to offend me in Ulon City, they must pay a heavy price. Elder Qianhe's eyes turned cold. Inside the black flying boat. The moment we left the cave dwelling, Ulon City's intelligence organizations probably already knew. Dial Workshop should be aware by now as well. Luo Feng glanced at Di Qing beside him. A strong figure from Guile Workshop is likely already tracking us. Ha ha, if Brother Luo Feng is confident, what do I have to be afraid of? Di Qing laughed. If he were acting alone, he naturally wouldn't dare provoke Guile Workshop. But since Luo Feng had admitted to having the strength of a late-stage God Emperor Dao cultivator, Di Qing was more than willing to accompany him on this venture. Brother Luo Feng, before leaving the city, we need to clarify one thing. The spoils of this hunt will be split 90-10, Di Qing said, looking at Luo Feng. This may be our last time hunting together. A 90-10 split is already favorable for me. Under normal circumstances, a late-stage God Emperor Dao cultivator would never bring a middle-stage God Emperor Dao cultivator to hunt. The power gap was fundamentally too large. All right, Luo Feng agreed with a smile. As you say. Both of them were extremely proud and did not want to take advantage of each other too much. Luo Feng understood that. After this hunt, once he revealed his true strength, Di Qing would likely no longer want to team up. The gap would be too wide, teaming up would become meaningless. This would probably be their last hunt together. When I arrived in Ulon City, Di Qing arranged a cave dwelling for me, lent me chaotic origin crystals, took me hunting, and taught me some hunting experience. I owe him a favor, Luo Feng thought to himself. Di Qing had indeed treated Luo Feng as a life-and-death companion, but unfortunately, Luo Feng was growing too fast. Whoosh! The black flying boat shot out through the East City Gate in an instant. Not far from the East City Gate, a grey mist figure watched the black flying boat. They've left the city. Wu Wei gazed from afar. As soon as he saw them, an invisible mark fell onto the black flying boat. He did not directly brand Luo Feng and Di Qing because the stronger one's power, the sharper their perception. Merely branding the flying boat was much more concealed. Whoosh! Wu Wei also piloted a flying boat, maintaining a sufficiently distant position behind as he exited the city. The suppression in the Nine Rivers Sacred World was too strong. Even his tracking mark had to be kept within a certain range. If the distance was too far, his sensing would become increasingly blurry. Inside the black flying boat. Once we leave the city, Guile Workshop may strike at any time. Di Qing observed the surroundings but did not notice the invisible mark on the surface of the flying boat. Luo Feng's bionic eye of destruction on his forehead had already opened. The Tao of Life and Death at the early stage God Emperor, the Tao of Life and Destruction at the middle stage God Emperor, his accumulation in these realms made Luo Feng's understanding of the Eye of Life and Death grow deeper, naturally making the secret technique of the bionic eye of destruction even more powerful. Brother Di Qing, the moment we left the city, Guile Workshop had already locked onto us, Luo Feng said. His bionic eye of destruction could see a very faint mark on the surface of the flying boat. They locked onto us? Di Qing was startled. A mark from the causality lineage, a very skillful technique, Luo Feng observed with his bionic eye of destruction. If it were a true eye of life and death, even the protective formations of the entire Ulon city would not be able to block its gaze. Luo Feng, standing here, would be able to see every living being and every movement within Ulon city. However, if the eye of life and death were brought out of the origin world, it would likely bring great disaster. Even with just the secret technique bionic eye of destruction, he could still see a faint causal thread extending from the mark. This causal thread penetrated the void, connecting to a distant location. I'll go take a look and see who's tracking us, Luo Feng said with a slight smile. A blood-colored phantom flew out from his black flying boat, swiftly following the causal thread toward the other end. At a sufficiently far distance behind, Wu Wei was piloting an ordinary flying boat and had just exited Ulon City. Whoosh! Wu Wei gazed ahead, locking onto the position of the black flying boat using his tracking mark. Deputy Leader, they are now a certain distance away from Ulon City. I have also exited the city and am following them, Wu Wei immediately reported to Elder Qianhe. I can track their location at any time. Very well, just keep an eye on them, Elder Qianhe responded. Wu Wei, piloting his flying boat, remained at ease. He specialized in tracking, escape, and curses. Following Luo Feng and Di Qing was something he never worried about. This Luo Feng is truly arrogant. Just for 50 million chaotic origin crystals, he dared to offend Elder Qianhe. As a mid-level member in Guile Workshop, Wu Wei was well aware of the entire situation. Elder Qianhe is infamous for his ruthless cruelty. Once he makes a move, he never shows mercy. Wu Wei had witnessed Elder Qianhe's actions before. That was truly terrifying. Any elder in Ulon City could not be underestimated, as these elders were usually experts from the origin world. They possessed cloning techniques and never lacked opportunities, refining their skills to an extremely fearsome level. Whoosh! Wu Wei piloted his flying boat, maintaining a far enough distance from Luo Feng and Di Qing's flying boat, continuously tailing them. Suddenly, a massive furry claw stretched out from the depths of the sky, grabbing toward Wu Wei's flying boat. Not good. A low-level chaotic origin life form. It's an ambush. Wu Wei's mind jolted. He specialized in escape and tracking, and since he had just left the city not long ago, he had never expected to be ambushed by a low-level chaotic origin life form in this location. The moment the gigantic furry claw grabbed at him, the surrounding space seemed to be cut off, forming a cage of heaven and earth. The area where Wu Wei's flying boat was located became a complete cage of heaven and earth. This cage of heaven and earth was inside the palm of that furry claw. The natural secret treasure, Palm World. Escape. Staying inside the flying boat meant certain death. In an instant, Wu Wei roared, transforming into an endless expanse of mist. This mist attempted to tear through the cage of heaven and earth and escape. At the same time, 9 weak mist strands secretly leveraged concealed causal threads to disperse and flee in different directions. As a cultivator from the origin world, Wu Wei had cloning techniques, so he had never invested in overly powerful escape treasures. Moreover, his own escape techniques were already extremely formidable. Boom! The gigantic furry claw suddenly clenched. With that single grasp, the entire palm world was annihilated. The towering figure with the massive furry hand had a bionic eye of destruction on its forehead, opened and seeing through the hidden causal threads of Wu Wei's escaping mist clones. With another squeeze of his enormous hand, the palm world was obliterated. Simultaneously, every single escaping mist clone along the causal threads was also annihilated. New. One by one, the mist clones were destroyed. However, some were exceptionally resilient, struggling and resisting. But Luo Feng's massive furry hand, driven by his indestructible blood-sea body, possessed endless terrifying power. He forcefully crushed these stubborn and difficult-to-eradicate mist clones into nothingness, completely erasing them. A middle-stage God Emperor Dao cultivator like Wu Wei, no matter how skilled in escape, was slain in a single move under that gigantic furry claw. The treasures he carried also fell into Luo Feng's hands. Middle-stage God Emperor, Wu Wei. Luo Feng understood. So Elder Qianhe sent Wu Wei to track us? This natural secret treasure, Palm World, truly has extraordinary power. Luo Feng looked at his own massive furry claw with great satisfaction. With my strength, without Palm World, even with the indestructible blood-sea body, I would have needed 3 to 5 moves to eliminate Wu Wei, Luo Feng mused. With Palm World, 1 move was enough. No wonder the elders all coveted such treasures, they indeed provided a significant boost to one's strength. Whoosh! Luo Feng's figure flickered, turning into a blood-colored phantom, merging into the heavens and earth, disappearing without a trace. This video will end here.